Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lightbringers podcast. Peace on Earth is all we believe in here. No violent shooting people off into any spaces in the world, or Earth, or Moon. Right, Fornex?
Speak for yourself, darling. It's been a rough week.
Fair.
Yeah.
Apologies for being late, everyone. I did a bad. Well, I didn't do a bad. Sleep was forgotten this week and some stressful stuff. And I kind of didn't wake up. So we are a little bit late today. And my guests are hugely patient and amazing for remaining and being here. We lost Tarja on the way, and that's as they had a thing to go to, unfortunately. But this is my fault because I was late. I'm sorry, but we're gonna get Tarja on again. Otherwise, Rava's gonna hurt me as well.
Yes.
True.
And I don't want pain. No pain, please. No pain. But yeah, today we're gonna be talking about Raids coming back with the latest update. Raids returns Guild Wars 2 next week, or this week coming on Tuesday. We have the Godspawn chapter. It's called Godspawn, right?
Correct.
Godspawn? You sure? And then we've also got a bunch of other stuff, but we're going to be talking about raids mostly and convergences, and then we're going to talk about maybe a few little bit of extra pieces, bits and bobs coming out as well. And if the audio is weird or anything else is weird, let us know, please. It's all really good to see you all. I haven't been around for a bit. Life is hectic, streaming, all the things. Sometimes we don't get time, and that's okay. But we have Fornex Cronenhauer. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and where you do it?
Me? Yes. Hey, I'm Fornex. I'm me. Hi. I'm a red flag. No. I'm Fornex, the Crichton Herald. I make content over on YouTube. And I have actually made some content, so please do. We're talking about the blog post today. I've made like 2 videos about it. One about the World v World and one about the PvE content that's coming out. So do please check out those. But of course, stay here because we're going to do a much better job than I did by myself. And also, thank you for having me on.
It's
and
just a different job. It's not better.
Hello, Reader Geek. Sorry for frantically DMing you, darling. Okay. It's his fault.
Shout out to everyone.
He's in naughty chair, yeah.
Shout out to everyone that contacted me. And like in a weird way, like being late reminded me that actually like people think about me sometimes and they are worried about me. So it's kind of not like that was nice, actually.
Well, of course. But yeah, big up to Reader, by the way. She the best. Thank you, Reader. Love you.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, love you, Reader. Thank you so much.
Many missed calls from many people.
Good. Oh, Fornex. I need a cold shower.
It begins. Check out Fornex's videos and all bits and bobs. Rava, tell us what you do, where you do it. How you doing? It's good to see you. We're good to have you back. In a while.
Yes. So I just want to say, Jebro has asked me many times and I couldn't, and the one time I say yes, he's very late, so I felt a bit offended. But
it's so true.
No, hi, I'm Rava. I used to stream a lot more than I do now lately because mental health is important. Jebro taught me that, and also I'm a scientist in real life. And I'm doing a lot of work, but otherwise you can find me on Twitch once a week nowadays, and all I do is raids. So if you're interested in raids, you can join me. We do Reset, and I have a YouTube that's not dead, it's having a nap. So yeah, I'll get back into content creation soon. It's just too hard.
It's a lot. It is a lot when you got lots going, all the jobs and all the things. Especially nowadays.
We're saving the world with the science, so stick to that, and we'll just we'll be here waiting for you after you've got your Nobel Prize. Okay,
that's pretty good.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, yeah, if you get a Nobel Prize, give the podcast a little bit of a shout out. You know.
Sure. Yeah, I want to thank the Lightbringers for this thing in multiple sclerosis / cancer.
Yeah.
We did so much there.
Moral support.
I'll tell you that Jebro was late made me have a massive breakthrough because I was thinking about
Yeah, sure.
oldness or something. I don't know.
He make me wake up at like 6 and then he would right up
Oh
kidding.
my god, I forgot that. It's that
I'm kidding.
early. Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's that early.
You are so in the doghouse. You really are. You are.
Yeah,
At least
I
I'm in
was
a house.
Taja on the podcast.
At least I'm in a house. I lived in a house for a long time. Has he got rooms? Because I live in the studio.
Oh. Okay, fine. You're up shit creek without a paddle. How's that? That's a...
Shoot Creek sounds like it's got room. Okay. I'm gonna turn the music down. We're gonna look at things and talk about things. That sounded ominous. Yes, let's do that. I've got the same blog post twice on my page. That's not good. Raid Return. It's not that one. Studio update. There we go. I got a trailer from Studio Update. I'm not going to read the Studio Update because it's kind of saying, I guess, the convergences and raid stuff in the blog post, I would assume. The raids one specifically, so...
I think that the most interesting things are there were a couple of roadmaps that I think are quite clarifying because we've been wondering about how many maps are we getting, when are they coming, when are the raids coming, when is the fractal coming, and they've given some nice clarification. So it's nice to have a roadmap going forward.
Yes, I will show that later because we're gonna begin by talking about the actual title of the podcast because I can tend to veer off. Yes, okay, that's on the other blog post. We can look at that. And then next week's patch is a load of stuff. There is 3 story chapters.
Cool.
There is a new raid and convergence. There's a new legendary spear, Clobion, or Clobion, or Clobion. Clobion? No. I can't say that.
Every Scandinavians right now is cringing.
Oh god, I'm sorry. That's the spelling in the chat. If you're here live. Also forgot to introduce myself, but I'm half asleep, so that's fine. A new Wizards Vault season, new relics, weapon armor rewards, mastery update, and new homestead decorations. There's loads of stuff coming. I'm not sure
even put out videos for most of these things as well, which is like astonishing for them.
Shock.
We've got a fantastic preview of the spear Clobby, and we've got previews of the
That's better.
Clobby. Yes,
I actually like
we've
that.
got previews of the homestead stuff as well. I think.
Oh, the homestead stuff?
I think so. I feel I'm gonna check in case I'm doing the misinformation business. But
I didn't see the homestead stuff.
maybe it was just a tweet
Is
that
it
I
on
was
that
getting
tweet?
too excited about.
Let's see if I can find it and then I'll... Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's the examples of what's coming and the picture. It's a picture. It's a picture.
It's a picture.
Homestead living. Yeah, there's a tree. There's a bit of stone with some trees behind it. There's a picture, a mirror, and a tube of water with fish in it. I don't know what that's called.
Oops.
A fish thing. Fish tank.
Where are we seeing this?
It's on Twitter.
I'm totally.
I will link it in our miniature chat that we have formed. There you go.
Thank you.
Oh, actually, could just show everyone on the stream, I guess. Because that's what I said.
This might be an.
I was looking at the chat like.
There we go.
I wish I'd thought of that. Mm.
For
like
what?
the fish there.
Cherry blossom. Oh, my favorite type of tree. Yes.
You like cherry
I'm a
blossoms?
proper weeboo.
A weeboo.
I do.
A proper weeboo. Amazing.
I am.
Look at that mirror though. It's a bit dirty. It doesn't look like it's not really reflecting anything back, is it? That'd be weird though. If it was like reflecting us back, looking at it. Sorry.
I don't think mirrors actually work in game. I've seen one game where mirrors vaguely work, which is Palia, and that's it.
Okay. Mirrors don't work in games, everyone. You heard it here first.
True.
A fish thing.
True.
It is a fish thing. Don't forget to watch the podcast live on a Friday or a Saturday. I'm not going to tell you how often because nowadays it's just sometimes and mostly. It's times when it happens. This is going really well today. I'm trying it out on a Saturday today. Because Fridays are getting a little bit busier for me. And I think Saturdays, the weekend, like people can tune into a podcast a little bit easier on a Saturday. So we'll see how it goes. Might do it like every so often on a Sunday. We'll see. But yeah. Also, Lightbringers on Spotify, iTunes, all the things. You can find us there. And on my YouTube, youtube.com/JebroUnity. Okay, continuing on. How did I do this? Let's get stop doing that. Okay, so we've got loads of stuff coming, but we're going to look at the things called raids returning. And I'm going to read through this. We're going to have a look at some trailers and give our reactions as well as we go through. Now, if other people do want to read, they are welcome to, but you should tell me if you want to.
I think this might be your punishment for today.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That works, actually. So, raids return to Guild Wars 2 next week, which is technically still the case. Also, Guild Wars 2 came out on the Epic Game Store. Yes, I did not take my ADHD medication today. Excellent. It's going to go so well. Oh, God. Oh, no. Not that it would stop me from being massively off topic most of the time. It's still the game. It's okay. As the release of the next Guild Wars 2 Jamfia Wilds chapter Godspawn draws near on November 19th, we're thrilled to share some exciting news, new trailers, and an exclusive look at our first raid in 5 years, along with the upcoming Convergence event on Mount Balrior. Players will soon be able to explore the new mysterious area crafted to test even the most battle-hardened adventurers. Both the raid and the Convergence are packed with high-stakes encounters, hidden lore, and mechanics designed to challenge teams of all sizes. Whether you're facing the mountain's dangers with a 10-player squad or a 50-player group. And then there's a trailer which I'm going to play. We don't really need to react to that specifically. We'll do this one. There's a picture of Mike Tyson.
Scholar Glenna.
Okay, wait. Oh god. Okay, here it goes. I'm playing it on the stream. It's going now. Oh, there you go. That's handy. It was only really like a 35-second trailer.
True.
Because the rest of it is just like advertising, which is fair. You know, actually, I kind of like that. That's a good idea.
It looks cool, though.
Does look cool. Yeah. We have this in the background. Loop it a bit. It does look cool. I'm pretty sure I was right about the bosses. And other people said other things. Just saying on the podcast.
What did you say about the bosses?
I just said it would be these bosses.
Ah,
yeah.
That's all. That's literally all. I don't think it was. I think it was pretty obvious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just talking about the bosses, at the end of that blog post about raids, I don't know if you saw this, but there's like little player cards about like what, like for example, Yura the blah blah, the Sphere of Influence, Geyser Rage, Flesh Melting Stream. It's kind of cool. They've never done that before, where they kind of present the raid bosses as like little playing cards.
Oh, on the blog post.
Yeah. At the end, the very end, like. I wonder, like the Godspawn worship ascendancy. Like, I'm just super excited. I wonder if those are little, maybe like subtle hints about the mechanics as well.
Sometimes they do that kind of stuff. Maybe.
Yeah.
They're trying to do some fun stuff with, I don't know, just introducing new. They're trying to give them maybe some character and just be silly and fun. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool. I'm excited.
I'm fairly convinced that Ura is gonna be a volcanic titan.
Oh right.
I feel like going up the mountain. You see a lot of volcanism there. You see it looks like we're heading into like a high mountain caldera, which will be really cool for the last boss. And titans take on their appearance, their aesthetic from the environment that they're in. So if she's living inside the caldera, she's going to be a fire aligned. And you've got one that's storm aligned by the shore. You've got one that's blight aligned. So yeah, they take on the essence of the land that they're in. So it's really cool.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Geyser Rage, Flesh Melting Steam. That does sound pretty volcano-ish.
Or the worst spa day ever.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Guild Wars 2, Guild Wars 3, the card game. I'm not sure if they're called it Guild Wars 3, but you know, could be. You never know about a card game in the future. You never know. But also, 10-player raid back. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Since I think Key of Abshadim came out in 2019. So, yeah, 5 years.
That's like 5 years already.
Yeah.
That's wild. But you like the trailer? Good fun? Good times? Trailer's good? Trailers are good. We don't
I'm
really
excited.
Get many trailers for things in the... I guess... do we get many trailers for raids in the past? I actually don't know. I can't remember. I don't remember.
Yeah,
actually.
we got one for Adajim, I think. We got a trailer.
Okay.
Yeah, for the... I don't know. I mean, I'm happy that we're getting raids, and I hope the raids are now like one of the pillars that go forward with these annual expansions. That would be perfect. I think that if you want to attract endgame raiders, and as much as they've tried to kind of rewrite the rules of MMO, and I think that they have in many ways succeeded. But when people think about endgame in MMOs, they think about raiding. And if you want to attract more normie MMO players, you need raids. And they do such fantastic raids, and they do such fun, strange, weird, awesome raids that I was super sad that they went. But my hope now going forward is that the community shows this raid enough love, enough attention, that it brings that they have enough like bums on seats in order to get like give them the numbers that they need to keep doing this, because I think it would be great for the game overall to have like a regular content schedule where people know what they're getting. So we're going to get story, we're going to get raids, we're going to get a fractal, we're going to get a weapon, a new legendary each expansion. You know, things that people can rely on. People like predictability in content delivery, and I think that that's one of the areas that they've actually not been fantastic on. And hopefully with this new raid schedule, expansion schedule, they will be.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how also they're going to, because they did mention that they will try to make raids a bit more user-friendly for everyone, like accessible. So I'm very curious how they're going to do that. It's going to be really interesting. And my only fear, I guess, when it comes to raid is like, I don't know why, but I really find that there's a difference between strikes and raids. And I'm really, as someone who raids all the time, I'm really not enjoying the strike. So I'm hoping that it will be very different and not just like some kind of strike with 3 bosses instead of 1.
Or is it that they're in such a... What is it about strikes that are different? Is it just the mechanics for you, or like what is it that...
I think, like, I
just feels
I don't
like
know.
less of a spectacle than a raid because it's just a one boss? Or...
Yeah, and I think, like, you go in, people hit a totem to get little bowl stings, and then you wait for everyone to be ready, and then you go in and that's it. Whereas, like, I don't know about raids, there's, like, this whole, like, progression, and you're in an instance together. I don't know. Like, I've never... Yeah, I don't know. I've never really enjoyed strikes because it felt very, like... cheap in a way, like, you know, you go in, you kill the boss, you get out, like, type of thing, whereas this feels more like a romantic relationship where you're just like, you're walking through the end boss and it's beautiful, and this, I don't know.
It's a relationship where we kill 3 people. We know what
There's
Rava's
more to
relationships
it. There's
are like.
dinner and there's presents. It's not less like go in, go out, and you know what I mean by that.
Sure. Absolutely no. Yeah, there you go. So First in chat said, I love that the raid is also the convergence, so you don't have to be a raider to enjoy it. Very true. Very, very true. Let's read more about that, shall we? Let's keep going. And if anyone wants to buy it, just let me know. Raiding inside Mount Balrior. Hopefully that's what I was saying. To enter Mount Barrier, gather your team and travel to either the Lion's Arch Aerodrome or Jamphia Sintry, where a portal will transport you into the heights of the mountain fortress. Awaiting within is a treacherous path brimming with enemies. Mount Thingamajig Barrier is... that's not his official title, by the way, just in case you quote me. Is structured with 3 main bosses and additional encounters. Ooh. With each section designed to test your coordination and adaptability. Exploration will also play a key role for those looking to delve into the raid's lore. You'll be teaming up once again with the Derwent Priory's expert Glenna's returning. Oh, there you go. I thought that was them at the beginning of the trailer. I was like, I know who that is. And comparing notes about what has been occurring in the region. Ooh, lots of lore. Glenna.
Oh,
that's nice.
She's back.
You not like her?
I'm not your puppy. I since Towers, you know, you have to escort her, and she's very sassy. Also, she takes credit for everything that you do as raiders. Like, you coordinate a whole raid, and you destroy the raid boss, and she's like, yeah, I did it. And it's like, sorry. Oh, Glenna.
You don't like them because they don't give you credit.
Yeah, they take the credit.
That's fair. Okay, I'll continue. Greer and Decima, evolved mechanics fiercer than ever. Prepare to face a whole new level of intensity as Greer and Decima return with their differing combat styles. And while each boss will create its own set of challenges, we've designed the normal mode of the raid to allow pickup groups and more casual raiders a chance of success, so making it a lot easier. Ooh. Greer's relentless, chaotic attacks are back in force, demanding sharp reflexes and adaptability, while Decima's highly structured mechanics require meticulous planning and coordination to overcome. Their signature moves and visual cues will feel familiar, but don't be fooled. Each ability has been reimagined, layered with new complexities that will keep your team on its toes. And of course, the Titans aren't finished surprising you yet. Greer and Decima have a few entirely new tricks to ensure a very challenging experience. To make matters more dire, Greer and Decima won't be alone for long. For those seeking the ultimate test, a future update will introduce a challenge mode for all of the bosses and a legendary mode for the final boss. These modes escalate the difficulty for thrill seekers and top-tier raiders alike. The final boss's legendary mode will demand unparalleled skill, offering a race to world-first completion. Is that boss gonna be? That's interesting. I have some thoughts about that.
Is the legendary mode coming this patch?
No, it's not coming till later.
Yeah. Good.
I don't know though.
Sorry, it's coming with the final release. It's yeah, so it's not until 2025.
But aren't they gonna get to know the boss really well anyway, and then it'll just be a legendary mode, and they just do it again, but it'll be harder. I mean, I guess there's more mechanics, right? But
yeah,
I mean,
sure.
So I mean, the way that it happens in World of Warcraft, who have like mythic raiding, is it is a completely different kettle of fish. All the mechanics and additional phases as well. So I would imagine that if they're going to try and emulate some of the community hype around World First and the race to World First, yeah, they're going to have to kind of like make it a very, very unique and interesting and challenging encounter. So to attract people to attract back raid teams that have kind of wandered off for the time being into other content, you know?
fair, that's true.
I was just hoping they come up with like a fun like challenge mode. Like I don't like, for example, Doom, like just adding this echo like bouncing back and forth. I think that was just really original and funny. Like instead of just making it like all the mechanic, like that's also something I have against strikes is like they're fun and stuff, but those legendary modes and like challenge mode is just like you have all the mechanics all at once.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's hard and stuff, but if you like, again, it's kind of like for accessibility purposes, it's kind of shitty because even though like, you know, there's a normal mode and then challenge mode is supposed to be challenging, I don't think that it should be challenging for people who have motor skills issues as well, which currently it is for a lot of people. But having a challenge mode where it's more like some little dude like running back and forth that can grab you is a bit more fun and original than just like be like, oh, we're gonna just put all the mechanics all at once and you need to figure out when to dodge and stuff. And also if you have hyping, dude, which, you know, it's a bit frustrating. But yeah, I'm just hoping that they come up with something a bit more original than just shoving all the mechanics all at once.
It's hard to like it's hard to I think it's difficult to balance accessibility and challenge in something that's called a challenge mode. That is very hard to do, I think. And you know, do I want everything to be accessible as hell? Absolutely. Is that difficult to do when something is supposed to be hard and challenging, where you may need to have, you know, a lot of ability to be present and in many different ways for it not to be physically and mentally? I think that's yeah, I mean that's also hard, but also it doesn't mean that a lot of folks can't be, right? Like
yeah, I don't know, it's just like I feel like the older challenge modes were like still challenging but less like having to rely on core, like not core, like one player's, it feels like lately if one player f's up
good job, fix it afterwards. You said the same word.
If someone messes up, like it feels like, oh, they perish or they down or they like, and then it's a full GG for the whole party. Whereas for example, like,
right, I see what you mean.
You know,
I see what you're talking about.
Take for example Samurog, right? In Samurog challenge mode, it's all about like those overlapping friends mechanic. So if other players bring enough stability, then you can vanquish it as a whole. And yeah, it's still challenging. Like there's still
That's
like
true.
You still need coordination, you still need to do a lot of things, but it's less reliant of that one player that if they like, and that's the problem. Like if you look at the Harvest Temple challenge mode or the Sarah CM and stuff, if one person dies early on, unless you're Snowcrows, it's a GG, and that sucks because then that one player that's trying to do their best like develops major anxiety. Sometimes, again, I don't mean to be talking about ping so much, but I live in Australia. I'm highly affected by ping, And it's
Yeah.
like, it's just a lot on one player. And I think like, I know that it's challenge mode and that it should be challenging, but it's not really fair that it's challenging for people who have more difficulties with those kinds of encounter. Like, I guess it's a metaphor for life as well, that we should be accessible to the world, but the world is a fucked up place, so it's hard to be accessible, but we should still strive. That's the same thing here. Yeah, you should still make a challenge mode, but
maybe it should just be called like something else other than challenge mode then. Having a challenge mode is that, and then the legendary mode is the more difficult, like the real, like, I don't know.
I mean,
technically
I feel like that.
I don't know.
I was just going to say, I feel like a lot of the mechanic design in a lot of games, not just in Guild Wars 2, does focus heavily on 1 or 2 players. And if those 1 or 2 players fuck up, then it can take down the rest of the raid. For example, like hand kiting at Deimos, right? If you don't have a good hand kiter, you're not doing the encounter. If you don't have a reasonable tank who doesn't get punted off the stage, or doesn't do the calls correctly, like for example, when I was tanking Deimos, I had to make sure I didn't get punted off the stage. I was on my Guardian, so I had to make sure that I did the shout at the right time, so nobody else got kind of feared, and there's a heck of a lot of pressure on 1 or 2 players in the raid, and it would be nice but incredibly challenging to kind of spread the load so that it's not just the kind of hyper fixation of 1 or 2 players, but it's incredibly challenging, especially when they're kind of leaning into the Trinity, which I think is wise from a stable kind of content creation point of view for them, because you can do a lot of things when you have a tank and you have a healer and you have DPS. You can do a lot of fun things, but I feel like that reliance on 1 or 2 players is one of the reasons why a lot of people find it difficult to get into raiding. And
the stress of like being able to do the things. Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense.
The thing is, now with the way that they've changed kind of the meta, where like everyone can give might, everyone can give different boons, it's no longer the Trinity stuff anymore. You're not like stuck. Well, there's still the Trinity stuff, but you're not stuck into one healer, like how it used to be, like Chrono Druid meta all the time everywhere. Now everyone can give alacrity almost, and you can have alacrity DPS players and stuff, so that's so good. And that means that they need to take this one step further, where when they make an encounter that's challenging, it shouldn't rely on just the DPS player doing so much DPS that if they die, it's a GG. Like I think I'm just so sick of like the insta GG stuff, because the encounter is so challenging that if you lose one player, you don't even have time to res. Like if someone downs for like the Cerasium, like nowadays it's a bit better, but for months, if one person down, that was a GG, because the time you took to just simply press F was not enough for like normal groups to like kill it after that. And I think like we need, like, I don't know, I feel like the challenge mode before was so much more interesting because it wasn't relying on a metric, which is DPS, like just trying to burn through every mechanic and like have this time limit where you need to kill that boss. It was just more interesting, and I'm hoping that that's what it will be. And in terms of, again, going back to accessibility, if that's the case, then people will feel much less anxious, like, going into those encounters, because it won't just rely on, if you fuck up once, that's the whole team has to GG and you've wasted 2 hours to get to that point type of thing.
I will say that in the defense of these intricate mechanics, I mean, if you look at like World of Warcraft, they have all sorts of crazy mechanics that they add onto the mythics and different phasing. What used to happen if they wanted to add challenge was a lot of the time they'd just make the boss like have a gigantic amount of hit points that you have to just rub your face off on and hope that you make it before the enrage. So I like the fact that they're kind of bringing in different mechanics. I think it makes it more interesting, and I think that half of the fun when you're in a progression raid is actually figuring out how to do the encounter together, right? And coming up with solutions, and I feel like I feel like some of the problem with how we deal with encounters is down to MMO players trying to efficiency everything. There might be better ways to do things in certain cases. For example, I don't think that they ever intended for there to be a hand kite at Deimos. I don't think they imagined that. I don't think they imagined that somebody could build a character to take all that damage so continuously, right? I think they had a different plan, but we kind of messed with their day with that. we kind of broke it. So I feel like when we go into these encounters, I feel like we bring as much baggage with us as they're putting into it as well. So
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I think. Well, I guess we'll wait and see. What happens? I think I was just thinking about this as well, and how actually add-ons in other MMOs make raiding a lot easier for a lot of people, almost to an accessibility point of view. Like, you know, if you think about, was it boss mods in World of Warcraft, for example, like, you know, it tells you what to do basically, but you still got to do it. Like, so it's like, you know, big bad coming up, 5 seconds or whatever. Or there's a big noise which flashes in the face and stuff like that. Now, I'm not a huge fan of using those because for myself, because I like to try and learn things. But when there's so many different raids and stuff, it might be difficult. But then in Guild Wars 2, there isn't really there's so much going on the screen that sometimes you're not really aware of what's actually happening. So for a lot of people, I think that's definitely an issue. So I'll be interested to see. Now, when I was watching that video, I think my concern was that, I'm going to put it up now, that there is a hell of a lot going on. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but look at this mess that is on screen. I'm just like,
yeah,
that's a lot. There's a lot going on, and it looks great, but there's just so much like AoE splatter and, like, you know, so much going on at the same time where I'm just like, I think that is part of the look at this. It just gets pretty hectic.
I know. And that's the thing. That's what they've been doing with strikes. Like, it's just so much, like, mechanics and visual effects, and to the point that some people, like, if, like, I know a couple of people who are visually impaired, and already because of all the LOD and the effects of, like, the weapons and everything, especially with the spears, it's already difficult. But then you have encounters like this, and if it's an open world, it doesn't matter as much because you have a lot of other players. But this is like, you rely on 10 people, so your 10 people have to be, like, on point, and that's like that whole, like, pressure. And, like, you know, sometimes, again, accessibility, sometimes you can't see as well, and then you cause a wipe, and then everyone's pissed against you. Like, so, yeah. And it makes things difficult.
Is that the punishment for fucking up in your raid? Everyone pisses against you. That's really rough, man. Holy shit.
No,
God damn. We need to talk.
Disclaimer. I'm known for okay, just I'm a pretty good raider, and I raid with a lot of really good raiders, and our raids are really wholesome. But I used to sell for the longest time, and it was one of the most toxic environment, and that's why I, like, distance myself from this. And, like, I've done a lot of raid training, and a lot of people are like, oh wow, if I fuck up, and I'm like, no, it's fine, you can fuck up. But that's the kind of, like, the spirit around raids, right? Like, there's quite a bit of toxicity. So
yeah, you just gotta find your people for that one. That's the thing. And when you're learning, it's like, just like, yeah, we're all learning together. That's the thing. And then you say, like, if someone knows how to do all the things and there's an instruction manual, like, do we learn this together, or does someone teach us? And I think it's just understanding what you want to really achieve and what you want to get out of it. Is it just hanging out with a bunch of people where you're bonding as a group, or is someone just going to teach you all what to do? You can still bond as a group, but, like, you know, people are just telling you what to do all the time, which is fine as well. You know, it really just depends on what you want to achieve, I think, as a raid group, enjoying the things?
I mean, we're kind of jumping the gun. We don't know how these raids are going to be, and I think that the team have got better at telegraphing things now. They've kind of standardized the kind of hug, spread, run around, dot in the fire type of thing. Although I do feel like I spend an inordinate amount of time trying to find a piece of ground that isn't on fire. That's been a theme this expansion. There's been a lot of things to stand in. But I don't know, man. I feel like still that the biggest, the hardest raid boss is finding a raid group. And for people who had like statics, my static is broken up. So I'm going to have to try and find now another raid group to get back into raiding because there wasn't any content for such a long period of time. It's hard for people to hold attention and you know, that's just the reality of the situation. So I'm really hopeful that they're going to introduce some sort of matching system that will help people. I mean, how long have we been going on about this? We've been banging on about this forever, haven't we? But I hope they do some sort of auto matching system that allows people to get into raid so that they can queue as a support or a tanky type person or a DPS type person with specific, I'm going to supply this boon, click it on the thing, and then you get an auto group. I think that would get a lot of people in because I feel like a lot of people are intimidated by just trying to get a group.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's just my opinion.
No, you're right. And it's also, yeah, as I said, like, it's the whole like atmosphere around raids because of it, like, you know, the do damage or GG type of thing. So it would be, that's why I'm hoping when they say we'll make it more everyone friendly, it would be good that we can get rid of this like intense toxicity around raids, because the reason why there's not a lot of raid interest is because a lot of people are scared to join raids because commanders being just really mean or people just being really mean.
Yeah, the auto join system hopefully would be that would be in the level of the raids, which is, I think they said, I can't remember, I can't find what they said specifically, but I read it. I just can't remember exactly what they said. Where you're, like you said, it's the easier version, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what convergences are, I guess. Convergence is, I mean, I think, you know, thinking about them and maybe moving. Right, did I already read this bit?
I mean,
can move over to that, I guess.
We have public access stuff, don't we? We have like pugs that we can go into. So there's the Dragonstorm pug. So you can just sign up and go into it and if they could do something like that around the raids, I know that they've introduced convergences, but the more people you get, the more bombs on seats you get into raids that way. You know, it's the more you'll be able to justify spending more money in investing in it. The more normal MMO players will filter over and make Guild Wars 2 one of their staple games, and it's a kind of a benevolent cycle of player engagement, is what I would hope.
We can hope. I'm going to show the convergence thing. Yeah, exactly. Okay. No, I agree. It's Guild Wars 2 instance content, I think, in general, is not really the end game. That's the thing that we've talked about before in different times as well, is that, you know, there's so many different... It's like the challenge, and it's the challenge part of end game for people, but once you've done that, it doesn't necessarily need to be done again. Unless there's unless you need materials for specific things, like progression in the raid for specific things like legendaries, etc., or like, you know, you want to get the look of different things. So I think rewards is something that haven't really talked about much in the raids, and I think that is the big pull for a lot of people that will want to do them as well. So there's accessibility and like wanting to do it, but then it's like, why do I want to do them? Why do I want to build a community? Why do I want to build a group around this. And it's like, yeah, sure, there's like the world first people, but you can't go from like not grouping up for a reason to world first team, right? There has to be things in between that. And I think, rewards are a big thing. Like, most of the reasons why anyone would raid in World of Warcraft is that the best in slot items, stat-wise, are in the raid. Like, that's just it. Like, if I go and look for my enhancement shaman now on World of Warcraft, there's at least 6 pieces which are like the best in slot, and you want to get that best in slot thing. Now, they've got their own problems with in-game stuff, but housing items, decorations, we talked about this before as well, glider skins, mount skins, building a mount skin over time, something like that, where you just like, have I gone to the right side of shit? All of these different things which add up to the experience. Like, you do a raid and you can get some currency every time you even fail. Like, I mean, that happens in Guild Wars 2, but you don't, other than that, there's not much else. And it should be like the feeling good that you've made progression, etc., etc. But I think in a world where everyone needs rewards for things to continue, I think there has to be, unfortunately, some more rewards that kind of come into it. So with this, I think the one thing they missed, which they could have really harked on a little bit more, was the rewards of things. To really sell it to people. Like, you can get the new blah blah skin set if you complete the raid on normal or whatever. Because strikes were aimed at getting people into raiding, right? But they still didn't really offer people many decent rewards for it. Not ones that you really want to focus on. There'll be like maybe an infusion, but just one thing. There's no like set of things that you have to farm for. The farming is progression rather than currency, or rather than pieces of an armor set that you need to put together is a puzzle to like, get this thing in the end. I don't know, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't feel like you're building over time. You're just looking for that one time where you get the title and you get the infusion, and then that's it. There's no reason to potentially go back. So I hope maybe there's like additional currency where you put it towards legendaries, etc., because the first raid with Heart of Thorns did have that. You need to go back for like, varying reasons for raid armor, like for PvE raid armor, like Wing 1 and 4 or whatever. There was some real, you had to do shit. You had to do a lot of stuff for that. But still, it really only appealed to a smaller part of the community that really wanted to commit to that journey, which is cool, and they had the right idea there. But I feel like it kind of, and they continue doing that, I know, with other raids, with rings and everything else, but it didn't feel as impactful. So I think for me, that's the formula they need to work out a little bit more as well. But also putting the what's the easier mode of that raids called, where they do it every week? It rotates between raids no. Emboldened. There you go.
Yeah.
So that's what I think they're gonna have on the new raid, but they're just gonna have an emboldened version. I don't think they're gonna rotate it. I think there's just gonna be the base level, maybe just emboldened, I guess. I hope so. Anyway. Yeah. Sorry, that was a string of thoughts though.
Going back to what you said, though, I think they're trying to strafe away from like having to farm something in a specific game mode. Like, I think
maybe
because a lot of players got like, before there was PvE armor, the PvE armor was the raid armor, and I guess a lot of people complained because they either didn't get it or they had to raid for it.
Yeah.
And like, even players now who don't do World v World complain about the gift of battle for their own legendary, and they have to do World v World for like, so I think that's what they're trying to avoid. Personally, maybe I'm wrong, but all those like game modes. And the problem is, because they're avoiding it, then there's not a lot of interest because people have other ways to do things to get something. So yeah, I guess you're right. It's a balance.
I think you should. That is right. Like, it shouldn't be for something which is such a pristine thing like legendary armor specifically. It should be like a skin set that's really, really cool. Or like, some stuff which, decorations, skins and stuff, rather than, a major thing like legendary armor, right? Yeah, that's the thing. Where it's like this optional thing, it's not about power, and even, you can rate like, legendary armor isn't power based, but in a way, like it's real access to stats. So it's like, is it power? Not really, but you don't really have to farm or play the game to get different kinds of armor because you've always got the stats. And I actually think legendaries are very cool, but I think they have worked against themselves for as well, to be fair. I'm not saying I don't like legendaries. I do enjoy legendaries. I love that I don't have to change all that stuff all the time. But I think it has played against them in a way where, there's not so much searching for stat gear and playing content to try and get it. And then I'm like, oh, well, I don't really like that anyway. So it's like, is there another way we can do things? Probably, maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll work it out one day. Who knows? But like, you can craft ascended and whatnot as well, I guess.
To be fair, like the only thing that okay, so if you think about legendary, the only incentive that, well, maybe not, but like for me, for example, if I really want a legendary, I have to do map completion, which is something I loathe, but I would do it for legendary. And I think like those two things, the gift of battle, which is also associated to a legendary, and the gift of exploration, which is associated to a legendary, are the only two things that keep player doing map completion or world rewards. So it would be cool to still have that kind of little poking incentive. But the thing is, those things you can do on your own, right? You can do map completion on your own. You don't need to rely on 9 other players. Same for World v World. Like, yeah, it will be a bit more difficult to get the gift of battle if you're alone and you don't pip as good, but you can still do it. But I think what players, and this is the difficult balance, is if you need to rely on other people and those people are there's a 60% chance they're going to be toxic, it's really difficult to get that item.
Well, you used to have to do map completion, like for World v World as well, to get that was part of world map completion, like and every map. So if you didn't end up on that map one week, like being on that side, you had to wait for ages, and that was always fun. Oh, the good old days.
I know. I think that. True. I just think that having a legendary, because of its hyper utility, I think it should be difficult. I think it should be a challenge, because you're never going to have to get whatever armor that you do on that weight again. That's it, you're done. So, and I also think that they should actually lock out some of the stats so that you have to do content to unlock the new stats. And then once you've unlocked them forever on your legendary. But I think that if they want to kind of encourage legendary armor wielders to have more engagement, then they should lock out some of the new stats that they're introducing and make them do some content, make them work for it.
Like they kind of did they do that with relics? I don't think they do, right? Or like, do they?
I think so. I think that's what they're doing with relics. Well, they're introducing like 18 new relics with 6 with this patch. 6 apparently. Unless I'm reading it wrong. So on the roadmap, it says that we're getting 6 new relics on the 19th. And then we're getting 6 new relics with each of the next 2 patches. So we're getting 18 new relics. And if we have to do content to unlock those, then that means that even if you got a relic, like I've got a legendary relic, I have to do that content if I want that stat. And I think that that's a nice way to kind of nudge people who have got all legendary gear back into the content. But I completely agree about rewards and raiding. I've never particularly been in love with how we do rewards in Guild Wars 2. I feel like you get a lot of stuff which feels valueless because of the way that the crafting system is set up. So you get a preponderance amount of stuff that you have to break down in order to engage with the crafting system, which is fine and it's a choice. I don't know whether they'd make that type of choice if they were making the game today, because I don't think that the crafting system has held up very well. I think it was quite revolutionary at the time, especially with all the discovery mechanics that were at play.
Yeah.
But I feel like now
that's cool.
the preposterous amount of materials required, I feel that that's like more like a barrier to entry now that the game is getting older. And I've always felt that the effort that I put in for content, I've never felt like I've got a lot of rewarding stuff out of it. Occasionally you'll get it. It's silly, like I get a rare item and my character will go, oh gosh, that's a wonderful thing, and I'm thinking that's a bag of shit. So I feel like it would be nice if we got, like you said, if they put old Black Lion skins into the raids so that you can unlock an entire season of a retired Black Lion skin if you do this raid, or armor skins, like a whole, like different sets. If you think about why people raid, and they raid manically in World of Warcraft, it's because there are hundreds of different armor sets for the different weights and the different classes and the different fantasies, and people go back and they'll raid that old content and they'll just keep doing it, and they'll rub their faces off on it because they've got something to work towards. And I feel like that's
just
they need
transmog
something
raids,
like that.
right? Like transmog.
It is.
That's what World of Warcraft does. They've got like their anniversary event right now as well, and there are so many skins to farm for. And a lot of people have them, and I get it, but like, you know, and then they've got their own problems. I mean, I guess they're always crafting. You're always crafting new gear sets and stuff, and then you've got sets, and it's just taking up your bags, and it's a lot. I'm just trying to think of the other MMOs as well and how they do things. I mean, I think that feeling is difficult to. I know we're going off the subject a little bit, but it's rewards, I guess, of raids are still connected. But when you level up, there is always that I have a new piece of gear feeling, and that almost doesn't really get beaten often unless you get like that really big rare drop. Maybe you would get from like a raid or something. And you really don't get that in Guild Wars 2. You just don't really, like you say, like, you know, maybe you get an ascended thing, but then you can choose the stats and everything else, and it's cool. Like, oh, that's cool, but it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like, whoa, yeah, amazing. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are newer players who do get that feeling still in endgame, but like, there isn't the skin drop or like the rare drop of that. I mean, maybe if you get like a ghostly infusion, you can get like 12 gold or whatever they're worth now. But like, you know, it's I don't know. There is that feeling, and I have been getting into World of Warcraft a lot more recently. For the 30th anniversary, Blizzard aren't the biggest arseholes anymore, which which was like, oh yeah, that's good. And then I was like, well, let's be honest, there's dwarves on the Horde side. So I was like, let's go. And I'm not raiding, but like the idea, I've been playing, you can play through older stories and level up and get gear. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool, I've got a new helmet. And now it's a new look, and it pops up in my little chat bit. And it feels like good to get all of these little things going on. And I'm just like, okay, those are the little dopamine hits that I'm missing potentially in like Guild Wars 2 and some other MMOs, because it's not really much of a celebration of the fact that you're getting these new things, and it's important to your character and it's important to you. And yeah, I think I'd like that a little bit more in Guild Wars 2 for sure.
I agree. I think they do that brain dopamine hit quite well when you're crafting a legendary item, because you get this big fanfare, you get a book open, you get, oh, look what you've done, well done, pat on head, here's your loot. And that's lovely, and we all want that. I feel like they have to balance the rewards for player input, and I feel like it's a bit off. So hopefully with these new raids, they're going to introduce some compelling rewards for people to really get excited about, because I don't necessarily think it always has to be about character progression, but there has to be something that tempts you in, something that makes you excited. Maybe it's a new skin for your mount. If you do all these raids, do this achievement, you get this exclusive skin, because people like to work towards their own little projects in Guild Wars 2. And I feel like they just need to put some new stuff into the old raids if they want people to come back to them more. So dropping, like, for example, homestead rewards into some raiding. And I'm not saying that that's the only way that you should be able... Oh, shit balls. I just dropped something. I'm not saying that that's the only way. Sorry, that was my pen I've been drawing. I'm not saying that's the only way that you need to get this one item, that it's like magic unobtainium stuff. But I feel like you have to give people compelling reasons. And after you've done the raid 17 times, you've had the excitement, you've had the camaraderie. But if you want people to come back and keep coming back and back to that content, you just have to give them something to go back for. And I feel like that longevity is the kind of the secret sauce that's missing at the moment.
Yeah, because they did try to do this with the 2 gold thing. You get an extra 2 gold if you do raids or something. Didn't they come up with something like that where you redo raids, you can still, like, every week you get more reward or something? But it wasn't enough. Yeah, I think they came up with some. I know that, for example, if you do it on the Embolden or something, you get extra gold as well. Like they have, like, we call that money wing every week, and it changes at reset, like an hour after raid reset.
Yeah.
So there's that, but I think, I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. If you do it on challenge mode, again, you get an extra 2 gold for every boss that you kill on challenge mode. But even that's not really enough, like, because most people don't really want to do it on challenge mode. Only, like, vet raiders do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, like, Fornax is right. We need a bit more of an incentive than what's currently happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of carrots. Lots of carrots.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But also
exclusive carrots.
Advertise the carrots like they don't do with the rest of the game. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the convergences because I've actually been talking for an hour. Look at that. Okay, I'm gonna show the trailer of awesome as well. There we go. Not gonna lie, I actually prefer that to the Rage trailer. I actually prefer that much more to the Rage trailer, just because there looks like there's actual kind of events in the convergence. That's pretty cool, actually. I mean, we've got the convergences where at the moment where you're kind of running around defend. I mean, I guess you're defending what's the name, and then you're running to different areas to kill different bosses and champions, etc., etc. But there's this bit here, I think as well, where I'm like, oh, the weather changing, and they were talking about dynamically shifting obstacles, which could be the weather as well. But like you've got them transporting like shipments of things like supplies and stuff, and this is Stoic's like tail, and I'm a little bit confused about that because I guess he's seen them before, so I'm not sure, or like maybe not, I don't know. Or is this I'm not sure where this is set, if this is the present or the past or the future or whatever. Like I'm not sure about that, but like I don't know, it just looks cool. There seems to be a lot of different story around in terms of, I don't know, what's this? I'm looking at this thing. It looks like they're mining for something. And you've got like transport it somewhere, and I don't know. Anyway, I've got this like.
It's a weird catapult as well in the middle.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it is a catapult. I think it's like because there's like all this tubing which goes underground and stuff, and I think it's like mining equipment or something.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It kind of does look like a catapult, but there's like damage happening on it, or there's something landing on it. I don't know. It's interesting.
I can clarify the bear story time.
Yes, please.
So
The
it basically the bear story time. So basically, the claw is relaying our adventures to some cubs from the village, and so it's the past tense. So this is kind of reliving each of the battles that we're going to encounter in the raid, but in the convergence, and that's why it's dynamic. So it will shift from from Griya, from Decima, and Ura. And each time you go in, so it's going to be a kind of like a rotating map. So they'll be zoning in different bosses, and the different bosses have a different dynamic effect on the environment.
Oh, okay, cool.
And different mechanics to deal with them, yeah.
Right, okay. Kind of assuming that you're not going to end up killing them, maybe. I don't know. If it's past. This is all in the past.
I mean, I mean, normally we do actually end up killing bosses in Guild Wars. It's not like Final Fantasy XIV, where you never get to kill any bosses and they just like kneel and surrender, and then you go and have a nice conversation with them and a cup of tea and maybe go to dinner at some point, which is, I'm all for that. It's okay. Some of them are quite tasty, but I feel like we might actually get to murder these things this time, because they've teased us a couple of times now. We've not been able to like murderize them, so I feel like they're gonna die this time.
Murderize them. This
Murderize
is the terminology you just chose to use. Never heard murderize before. Someone needs to look that up.
I feel like I might have made up a word. Yeah, I don't think it's a word.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on.
I'm excited to see the difference between convergence, where you involve all the players, so there's more mechanics, and raids where it's like smaller scale. So I'm guessing like you don't need to charge whatever the mining stuff, or I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I think it's really smart that they've decided to merge them, as long as we can really see a difference between both of them as like encounters.
Yeah. So this is where you're probably going to get this is where the difference in rewards are as well. I mean, it's a good way to create content for two different, technically, modes, quote unquote. Having it so it's not completely, don't have to design like completely new. I mean, there's going to be differences in the encounters and whatnot, but like, you know, you've got the same assets, you've got the same potential areas, that's really smart. I mean, it's because it almost offsets, I guess, in a way, if they don't get a shed load of people into raids, it's not going to be the end of the world, but there is still a lot of work that obviously goes into that. But they can still be like, you know, we did convergences and we're still continuing with that, and we're bringing back something new as well. So I think this is going to be the I think this is either going to be the restart of raids or the end of it completely, depending on how many people engage in it. And I don't think that they can continue with the world first attention being the only reason that they would continue raids to be a thing, because the world's first is really only between about 3 guilds. and it brings interest, right? But like, I don't know if it's enough for them. I really don't know how many people it effectively brings back to the game, and brings that interest, because I don't think that's what Guild Wars 2's strengths are. Convergence is there, you know, talking on that a little bit more.
I don't know. I feel like it's like anything. So when you're a YouTuber and you start making content, it takes you a while to kind of garner any interest from anyone, right?
Yeah.
And you have to basically like tank it through. You got to keep rolling and keep making the content that you think is interesting, and hopefully, you know, build it and they will come. Build that you good, okay? But right.
Okay.
Right. So I think that there's an argument to be made that if they make consistent content, then they will come. Then the raiders will come, and I think that would be great. I think that would be great because
That's true.
I keep saying this, as much as they've reinvented the wheel, and they really have. I mean, they've influenced World of Warcraft so much that they're now doing drag racing. They're basically like,
I know, I saw
they're
that.
stealing Guild Wars 2's lunch money at this point, which is fine. But honestly, I'm just hopeful that they'll stick at it, because I think that once people get in and they see what a fantastic game it is, people are always really like surprised when they come in at how big the world is, how vast everything is, how well made the game is, and how cool the community is, and people are kind of taken aback. I remember when Preach was playing through it, and he was like kind of like shocked at how good it was.
Yeah.
Shocked at how good it was, and it kind of made him rethink so many things about the preconceptions that he had about MMOs. But I feel like they've reinvented the wheel so many times that there's just some things you cannot uncouple, and MMOs and raiding is one of them. I think I would like to be wrong, but I don't know.
And back then, when they published a few raids, like, you know, after Wing 1 came out, Wing 2 and stuff, like, there was so much hype around it. And yeah, unfortunately, like, it was pretty toxic. So it was mainly those like hardcore tryhards that kept doing it. But there were other people getting really into it, and it was really fun to look forward to that and like guessing what it would be. And they've left so many on like open ends. For example, if you finish Wing 5 and Desmina takes over the power, we still don't know what happens and stuff. So it would be really cool if they started like doing raids again, but make it more accessible so that more people are interested in them.
I was looking to see if he continued to play. You're talking about Preach there. I was like, has he continued to play? I can't really see.
I don't think he has. I don't think he has.
so
He
either.
got stuck on 14. I think he's got a static in 14 now where he goes and raids.
Yeah.
Which is kind of making my point for me, you know? Because he was incredibly impressed with the raids. He was incredibly impressed with the raids in this game, but
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of skilled folks working on the raids and doing the things. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think Guild Wars 2 is also its own beast. And it has a lot of I think it's just selling them in the right way, and hopefully this convergence as well. I'm really interested in this convergence. I think it's gonna be something I definitely head up as well with a bunch of people.
And it could be really cool, like, you do convergence, you gain, like, understanding of how convergers work, and you know that the raid is quite similar, so you kind of gain a little bit of more self-confidence when you go into the raid, because I think it's the unknown as well, like, oh, what if I can't do a mechanic, or I suck at this mechanic and then I get kicked and blah, 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 whereas if you practice with convergence, when you have 49 other people to help you out and like messing up is not as bad, then you could gain confidence into going into the raid, and then there's more interest in raids, which would be really cool, as long as they make it, like we've discussed again, like affordable, like not affordable, but more like there is an incentive to do it, so that they switch from that convergence to the raid and they have the experience to do that.
yeah. I also think that if they can't mechanically have an auto matching system in game, then I think that it would behoove them to actually promote communities and guilds who do a lot of raiding, so they could have like a stream day where they talk to members of the community, they shout out different discords, different guilds, so that people know, no, there are places you can go, and there are statics that are happening, and there are training groups, and here they are. This is our community who've come together around this fantastic game mode. And although we can't give you all the shiny tools that we would like to in game, look, there's a whole community here who open arms, friendly, and go forward with that. So you got to kind of play to your strengths, because there is a community around this. There's a community almost around every game type there is. I mean, just look at Wings. There's a band guild. There's like a musical guild that does all the musical instruments. This is how, but having these things in game attracts those type of people. So I think that they're not leaning into the community enough. If they can't give them the tools in game, rely on us to do it.
And there's a few things that they could do that I'm hoping one day they'll implement. For example, to assist, like the two hardest encounters now are no longer raids. They're like Sarah CM and Harvest Temple CM. And what they could do, the problem is the mechanics that are really hard come later on in those encounters, and it makes it extremely difficult for players to learn because it takes them hours to reach one point. They reach the point, everyone panics, they will wipe, and then it takes another 2 hours to get back into it. But one thing that could be really cool that could help with accessibility and practicing is that you could skip to certain like phases. Obviously, if you kill you skip to like sub 50%, you don't get the credit, but at least you get to practice without having to spend 2 hours to get to that point and then wiping straight away. That would be super useful if they could do that, and also allow players who've cleared full raid wings to select a boss that they want to get back to. So again, that's really cool because you get to get a team of players that don't really know how to do, for example, Largos, and it's in the middle. And then you can like do some raid training on Largos without having to try and figure out who can have the instance and stuff like that. Okay, I'm hoping they could do that one day. That would be really cool.
That's an amazing idea.
I'm going to push us forward a bit.
Cats.
Huh?
Herding cats.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I need to read the rest of the blog post. I feel like it was almost already, we've really kind of talked about it. You told us the stuff about the story. I mean, they're telling us that there are going to be, that it was, I'm going to read this bit because it was cool. Our team took on the exciting challenge with this multi-purpose map, which is designed to host Convergence's story quests and raid content. Packed with hidden passages and breakable walls, it allows designers to modify and reshape areas, creating a truly unique environment for each encounter. Exploring its depths may even reveal a few hidden details for those who enjoy uncovering every secret. I think that's very cool. Like, it's essentially its own map as well. Like, you're going to be going around doing these things, and maybe not even in order, maybe just depending on what's going on, like weather-wise, etc., etc. Because they do talk about like the dynamicness of this. So that's interesting, and I wonder if this is the map that they're also talking about in terms of, the extra map that they're putting into the game. We're still a little bit like not sure about that, I suppose, in terms of like the maps in the game that they're adding to the expansion. Is the Convergence a map as well, technically? Because they're saying map a lot in this, and I'm like, I wonder. Is there anything else here? Oh yeah. Okay, here we go. You liked these little. I think you both like these little cards that they put up, right? The
boss cards.
Boss cards. There you go. Okay, I'll read this little bit as well. Familiar faces, new challenges. In the release of Godspawn, players who take part in the new Convergence will confront Decima and Greer, with a final boss joining in 2 future updates to expand the variety and keep players on their toes. Those who battle Greer and Decima in raids, you'll recognize some of their attacks in this new Convergence, although they've been tailored for the 50-player experience. Built specifically for Convergence encounters, these bosses will have distinct strategies and adapted abilities. Each boss will provide its own unique challenge and surprises throughout the Convergence, and you'll need to work together to come out victorious. Things are going to get wild next week when Guild Wars 2 Jamfia Wild's Godspawn releases. We'll leave you today with some fun facts about these bosses you'll be facing. You have what it takes to confront these titanic foes. There you go. They came up with these cool, cute little cards, I guess.
Looks
Pokemon
fun.
cards for Titans.
Yeah.
For anyone that's not watching the video, we're looking at Greer the Lightbringer, and it says spheres of influence, spreading rot and decay, boon, corruption, and blight. And then likes, it says draining bloodstones, competing with Decima, and ruining picnics. So random. This is a fun way to kind of bring things in, I guess. Then you've got obviously like Decimo is like collecting rocks, mocking Greer, and smashing bugs. Oh, there you go.
I'm excited.
And Ura is the god, likes the god spawn, worship, and ascendancy. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's orange. It's definitely that idea of like lava and that kind of thing. I suppose. And then you got that big mountain with them and yeah. Oh no, your first one is orange as well.
So, and I'm guessing Yura will fight it in raids for now, but not in convergence when they say a final boss joining in 2 future updates. Or the raids won't include.
That's a good point.
Oh, no, it's so the raid is releasing and it's got 3 bosses, and or it's that. So maybe there's another one.
No. I think this is it. It says, yeah, it says players who take part in the new convergence will confront Decimo and Greer with a final boss joining in the 2 future updates. And the convergence is definitely a third one in the future ones.
Okay.
But does it say that about raids? Well, maybe it did.
I think
you definitely. Sorry, go.
Oh
sorry.
no, so I was gonna say, like, I think they'll just release like those 3 for raids. Obviously not I don't know about the challenge mode, but definitely the legendary mode will come later. But for convergence, maybe they'll wait a little bit for the last one. I don't know.
Yeah, that isn't as clear. I mean, because it looks like also in the raid we won't see them, but also we will. I think there's a little bit of confusion there, but we'll see, I guess, on Tuesday as well.
Yeah, maybe it's staggered. Maybe for the first quarter, or for the first release, we'll get 1, and then they'll keep adding them. They'll keep adding they'll add a different Titan for each of the releases. Maybe. I mean,
I think we get the first 2. That's the kind of idea that.
Or would it be where like the convergence where they rotate bosses? Like there's the.
Oh, maybe that.
Like they'll rotate the 2 first, and then the last one comes in. But I think what they've done in the past with Raid Wings is they published the whole Raid Wings. So I think we'll meet Yura in this one, just not the legendary mode.
Fair. Okay. Anything else you want to say about raids or convergences, peeps?
No, but I have to go soon, Jeb. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We will wrap it up momentarily. I think that's a good idea. There's loads of stuff coming up for Guild Wars 2. We'll have a very quick look at the maybe roadmap if that's okay. Rather, have you got time to have a quick look at the things? Okay, lovely. All right. Excellent. Wait, that's not the right one. Here we go. There's loads more stuff to come. We're only on launch here is done. And then we got update 1, 2, and update 3. Update 1 is in November. We're gonna get more story, which is cool. Oh no, there you go. It just says it doesn't count the convergence as a map at all. That's the answer to my question. There's 2 more maps. Yeah. Raid Wing Convergence, new homestead decorations coming up in all updates. As Fornax said earlier, like there's 6 relics in each release as well, which is cool. We got the legendary spear, of course, and a weapon set. I'm actually gonna pop the trailer of that up very quickly, probably as well, just because it is pretty cool. I'm gonna have it as looping in the background. There you go.
To the handsome beast.
It's not bad at all, and you get 6 different appearances as well for the spearhead, I believe. Yeah, 1 legendary, 6 thingamajigs. I don't know what they call it, cosmetic styles. There you go. That's pretty cool. So we're getting a bunch of. So Clobion, and then it's got the different. It's called different things depending on what the spearhead's name is. I didn't cotton on to that. Reading's hard.
That's so cool.
That is cool. It's like these ghostly spears that kind of follow you around.
kind of reminds me of the Warhorn, the Grenth Warhorn that you can get.
Yeah. I think it's in a very similar vein to all of the dragon weapons as well. When it does that finisher and it comes down and does that thing and it finishes them.
Yeah.
There's that same mechanic in there. And I'm like, I guess that's cool, but that's kind of similar to all of the dragon ones as well. So I guess that maybe the future. The legendary weapons that they're going to be very similar in that vein. I don't know, but the spearhead changes are different. That's a very unique thing, for sure. It's kind of cool. Love it. What else is there?
And there's a new legendary cloak coming as well.
Back piece. Yeah. That's right.
Yes,
That's right. That's coming up in the last update. Yes, and there's more stuff there. There's actually quite a lot. More. I guess there was a legendary armor set last time.
Yeah.
It really makes me think, what the hell are they going to do in the new expansion? The next one next year? Like, they've brought raids back. They've got legendary spear. They've got spear. How are they going to top this?
I mean, I would be quite happy. Yeah, I would be quite happy is if they introduce a new weapon every new expansion, and they give us a new legendary for that weapon. I would be very happy with that, right? That's kind of like a nice deal. Take my money, you know?
That would be a lot of work and balance.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
True.
But,
well, no, it doesn't necessarily have to be like reinventing the wheel, but you could just have like a new legend. If you're giving everybody swords, give them a new legendary sword. You know, I mean.
Oh, right. So you're not saying a new weapon for every class. You're saying.
No, oh God, no. Like a singular weapon that they're introducing. Like everybody's got spears, right? Yeah. So if everybody gets a new Gidget McWallow thing, squeaky, then off you pop. Yeah, that one.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we're going to have that conversation as we get closer to that point next year as well. So that's my fault for bringing that little piece in there as well. We've got Winter's Day as well coming up in December. Yay. I can't believe it's already November 2024. What is happening?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my God. I really can't. I'd really like to hold off January as soon as we possibly can. Just eject the next 4 years away from my life. Actually, I don't want to do that.
I have a sofa. I'm just saying, for any of my American friends who want to GTFO. Yeah,
honestly,
you can bring
I
the
would
car.
move back to the UK at this point.
Oh my God. You're not allowed. No, for no reason at all. PvP Rush, Skills and Balance, Return to Iceberg Saga, and we'll talk about all the upcoming things there as well. But wrapping up 2024, it's been a pretty good year. I think especially the latter half of the year for Guild Wars 2 has definitely been better for sure, with the expansion and all of the news coming up about what's going on for the future of Guild Wars 2. It's kind of exciting, but also, what is, I guess, like, there's a lot here. Hoping that we get to just continually enjoy the content and keep coming back, rather than maybe doing the things and disappearing for a while. That would be very cool. So it's going to be really interesting to see how raids are.
And even on the whole, like, different level, they've been really awesome with like those really awesome trailers, the editing of those trailers, like adding it to new platforms. Honestly,
Absolutely.
like, it's just like, I really like the direction that it's going. Like, it's just really cool and exciting. There's so much going on.
You're right. We've been talking about the trailers and stuff for a long time, and the fact that they've been doing that more is really important. So it's really good that that's happening.
Yeah,
very good
the
point.
Communications is fantastic as well. Like, it's really cool, and those streams that they're doing as well. No, they've really found their stride, I feel, and it's been really cool to see.
Yeah.
Awesomeness.
This expansion has been such a step up from their first annual expansion. Not that I didn't love Secrets. I thought there was such a load of good content in there, but honestly, for me personally, I've enjoyed playing through this expansion so much more, and I'm really looking forward to like them. I agree, Robert. They found their stride, and they're kind of moving forward, and I'm super happy. It makes me really confident that the game's got legs still, despite how quite elderly it is really in the MMO space now. You know,
even just for being around as a game, it's pretty wild. Okay, well, we're gonna end things there for today, I think, and let people get on with the rest of their weekend, because I was late AF, as they say. And I appreciate these wonderful people hanging around and waiting for me to get my ass together. And sorry to Taja, who waited around as well, because we're going to get them back on another podcast in the future. Absolutely. So, Phonax, tell us what you do, where you do it, before we head off for today.
Okay. Hey, I'm Phonax. I'm the Crichton Herald. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I've really enjoyed it today. It's been really lovely, and I'm glad that you're not like in a ditch dead. That was great. That's the highlight of the podcast for me. That you're fine.
Jesus. Same.
True. I was like, oh,
I'm definitely fine. I wasn't conscious at all.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, you woke up. That's the main thing. That's fine. You're allowed to. I'll allow it.
Shout
You're
out
allowed
to
to
Reader for that.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Shout out to everyone. I just woke up. The thing is, no one actually woke me up. Like, no one woke me up because everything is on silent. Like, my alarms didn't. I set through alarms, everything. Like, my sleep is just after this week, apparently. Completely after.
I have to apologize to Rook as well. I like terrified everybody in our chat groups. So I'm sorry to everybody. Sorry. I'm get back to shillings. I'm Phonax, the Crichton Herald. I make content over on YouTube. Please check out the Crichton Herald everywhere. And if you're interested in a studio blog and talking about World v World and all the changes and stuff that's coming up, there are 2 videos on my channel at the moment where we go into the blog posts, we talk about them, and it's a good old chinwag in there. I love my comment section. Everyone's like amazingly knowledgeable and catches all my mistakes as ever. But yeah, please do check out those videos. And thank you so much to Rava. Thank you so much to Jebro. And it was lovely to meet Taja. And hopefully I'll see you again next time.
Excellente. Rava, tell us all the things.
Hi, I'm Rava, and thank you for being here, Phonax, as well. I miss you, but I'm a Twitch streamer mainly, and sometimes I edit YouTube videos when my back allows it. But pretty much, you can find me on Twitch. I do mainly raids, so if you're interested in getting into raids, definitely swing by twitch.tv/Rava. I have a few videos as well to help you get into raids on my YouTube channel, which is Ravalicious. There's, for example, and it's still up to date, it's an older video, but like the kind of settings that are really helpful when you start raiding, because you can have camera shake, which could be very scary if you're doing sloth and stuff like this and distracting. So few settings on this channel, and I just want to take a little second to say that the world is very scary lately, but if you come to my channel, it's a safe space, inclusive. Unless you're an asshole, then it's not inclusive to assholes. But come and join us. We have really good vibes, and it's safe, and I know the world is a scary place, but we're in this together.
Amazing and awesome. Yes, check out Rava, all their stuff, what they said definitely goes. I'm going to also go and potentially eat food, because I haven't eaten today, as I just remembered as my stomach growled loudly. Don't forget to check out the Lightbringers podcast. It's on twitch.tv/JebroUnity live, and there are notifications on my YouTube, as well as my Blue Sky, and also the Facebook Guild Wars 2 groups, if you ever follow those. And also the VODs go up on youtube.com/JebroUnity, as well as checking out anchor.com/JebroUnity to listen. But you can listen on Spotify, Google, iTunes, all the things. Just Google Lightbringers Guild Wars 2 podcast, or even the Lightbringers podcast. That even comes up there as well. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Appreciate your faces. And we will see you after the latest update. I'm not sure how soon. Could be the weekend after, but there's also, pardon me, a lot to play through and enjoy. So we may leave it a week. We shall see. Otherwise, we will see you next time on Lightbringers podcast. Thank you so much to my guests and everyone for watching live. If you did, and if you're watching in the future, present, past, I'm not sure how that works. Thank you so much. See you soon. Take care.
I love this effect so much.